Welcome back to Casting the Net, where we seek to untangle the wide net that public health casts here in East Texas. We are the Northeast Texas Public Health District. I'm here with Terrence today. We got two special guests. We got Russell Hopkins with our Emergency Preparedness, Public Health Emergency Preparedness Department, and Brandon Moore. And forgive me, Brandon, what is your official title?
Smith County Emergency Management Coordinator.
Okay, so there it is, guys. So today we're going to be talking about emergency preparedness, the STEAR
Registry.
STEAR Registry, and these guys are well versed in everything emergency. So we are happy to hop right in.
No, I'm gonna start with a background question, I guess, because your title, you're Smith County Emergency Management Coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Does every county in Texas have an emergency management coordinator?
Not necessarily a coordinator. However, by Texas law, the local elected official, whether that be the mayor or the county judge, is the emergency management director.
Okay.
And then that person can elect to have a coordinator.
If they so choose.
Yes, sir.
Or
Need
if they
to.
want to take it on themselves, they can.
Ultimately, they are responsible.
Yeah, and some people do. Very few counties will the county judge
Be that
be
person.
both.
Mm-hmm.
Some smaller cities, like Winona, for example, the mayor is also the EMC. So it really just depends on the jurisdiction.
Okay. I was very asked because I did not know that. There's 254 counties. So I wonder if are there 254
Directors.
emergency coordinators?
Yeah, and a lot of them, especially in cities, they have multiple roles. It's usually the fire chief or police chief. At the county level, it's generally the fire marshal. But sometimes it's just a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, you get what you get. So,
But the role is needed, and somebody's got to do that job.
it's definitely a ever-evolving occupation. So in Texas, there's quite a bit of local government law that goes into it. Chapter 418 of the Local Government Code really details it, and it is ever-changing. Every legislative session, there's updates, and unfortunately, every big disaster, there's something that changes. I guarantee you this session, because of Kerr County, stuff will change. And because of that specific incident, it'll probably change for the next at least couple of sessions, if I had to guess.
And that follows on with changes all the way down to academia, where we're training the new people that come into the profession, is they will get those new kind of
To groom them,
right
to be prepared.
Right.
There's actually doctorate degrees in this now.
Yeah.
So
What's amazing, this past week, I had the opportunity to do some ICS training and incident command system training in Jacksonville, and just seeing the breakdown in the tier of not only there's so many acronyms. Oh wow, in this field of work there are so many acronyms. But me and Terrence are PIOs, and our role that is played within this kind of system of command for things to go off without a hitch and to have resources allocated when something like Kerrville happens. I think a lot of people just like, okay, supplies are here, but it's like, do you know how many people it had to go through the hands
to physically get there
to get that resource to that location? Like, it goes through a whole just slew of hands a lot of times.
Well, that's kind of the reason, or one of the reasons, I guess, that we're doing that community preparedness night tonight is the more people we have prepared, the less we have to worry about. And I know that sounds bad, but what I mean is, this stuff doesn't just magically show up. The state has to source it. A lot of those people that we're helping in Kerrville, or Kerr County in general, were not state employees. They may have been state assets because they were activated, but they're locals from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So
whether it's a nurse strike team or a heavy rescue team at a state level, or Team Rubicon or
Task Force 1 and 2,
whoever's a lot of feeding units go down there to make sure the first responders have meals and
Right.
and
You got
everything.
people working 14, 15-hour shifts. I mean, those things are. Yeah, you got to keep people fed.
It can be long.
Longer than that.
The disaster we had last year, right?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
June,
Yeah.
or first part of June.
So
Which one?
Yeah, well, it was like
Or, it wasn't.
it was like
I don't
a
know if it was
month.
confirmed tornadoes, but there were
High wind
Yeah,
events.
it was
gust
like-
winds that knocked down trees and power lines. I
was
want
like
to say
a
it was. I
month
remember
of
it was
just-
after
It was
Memorial
May
Day.
through
Yeah.
June, I believe.
Just a month of back-to-back storms, but there was one period I was awake for 4 days. Probably got a little grouchy because the county judge ordered me to go sleep. So
That's the kind of command
When you-
that you want to get.
yeah,
When your boss
Go
sends
take
you
a
for a
nap.
day off, you know you might have maybe gotten a little grouchy. It's happened.
Do you
But-
do that more often now, Brandon? Where you say, "Well, I hadn't slept for a couple of days. Can I get that order again?"
no. Hopefully, or luckily, it hasn't happened yet again. But what I'm getting at is, I mean, these resources aren't magic. They take a few days. The state does own some resources, but most of it they just have contracts. So they have to source it still because most of these places that rent equipment, they'll have contracts with 2 or 3 different people. So if there's multiple disasters going on across the state or even across the country, I mean, they may ship it to Florida for a hurricane or, North Carolina when they had their floods. So, the logistical aspect of it is a heavy load. So,
And it's very tough for locals to manage. 2017, we were doing some work post tornadoes in Van Zandt County, and a lot of that was going to be done with folks from Appalachia who had been laid off in the coal industry. They had heavy equipment. They were going to come down in October. We were going to do a lot of debris removal, and then Hurricane Harvey happened, and they went to Houston and Beaumont and those places
Instead,
and so the
because
county
that's what they were asked. That's what they were told where they needed to go
Yeah, they
with those resources.
rightly prioritized that you need to go save that what's going on. We couldn't really justify holding them there to get our bar ditches cleaned up from
Right.
trees and stuff. So it makes sense, but you have so little control at a local level over those resources. If you don't have some sort of community engagement, preparedness culture, preparation, you really are behind the wheel when something happens. So Carville kicks off immediately. They have a housing issue down there because it's swept away so many homes. That's just one element. There's a health and medical. There's a water safety. That water's gotten up into people's wells and things like that. So you're going to have a huge epidemiological spike of health and medical issues, housing issues, economy issues, and all that is put on this one person, the emergency management coordinator, a lot of times. So it's tough for locals to.
So you're not stressed at all, right?
I used to have a full head of hair. So.
But to everybody listening, as you hear the topics that we talk about today, you can email us questions that we can provide to Russell and to Brandon. You can email us at castingthenet@netphd.org. You can also just go to our website, minehill.org. You can send those questions that way through our website or even through our social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram. If y'all could touch a little bit more, Brandon and Russell, about the role of the collaboration that Smith County has with NetHealth, because one of the things that you just mentioned, that one of my takeaway messages is that there are months of planning, if not years of planning, that go into effect just so we are prepared for whether it's a flash flood, if it's strong winds, if it's tornado, if it's flooding. Just how do y'all work together, and what is the public health and city, county, regional partnership? What does that look like behind the scenes, and then what does that look like for what the public sees of how y'all work together?
For just a basic kind of establishing story here, Net Health is part of the County of Smith, City of Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
We are the ESF 8, Emergency Services Function 8, which is Health and Medical lead for Smith County and City of Tyler. So we are legally obligated to manage these issues in accordance with the elected structure, and then the emergency management coordinator, and all the different departments that go along with involving this. So when the Emergency Operations Center opened in COVID, we had dual EMCs. We had both county and city. We had a policy group of the elected officials who determined, this is what Brandon and I would be doing day to day. So that's kind of how we are formally structured. So we answer in a response mode. We answer to both the city and county's emergency management leadership.
Okay.
So he hit on emergency support functions, and I know a lot of people don't like FEMA, but I think that's one of the best things they've done is identified emergency support functions, and it kind of, you can just Google it. There's
20.
Well, the state has 20. I think FEMA has 16.
Yeah,
so the state added some because they have like Texas Military Department and stuff like that added into theirs. But it really breaks down pieces of the pie, if you will. That way, hey, this is your job, this is my job, this is whoever's job. So I really like that part of it.
So it's not so much a stay in your lane aspect, but it's more of defining what
roles and
your
responsibilities.
role should be.
Yes. So I really like that from FEMA. But going back to your original question, like we write plans together. Most large-scale incidents will always have a public health and medical aspect of it. I hate to bring this up, but the clips
don't say it that way.
Well,
just say it.
I don't.
Like, we're public health. We don't hide something.
No.
Yeah, there's some things that are just bad juju.
The clips that we were planning for that never happened. Well, I guess it did happen, but
it did, depending on where you were.
Yeah,
what the cloud cover was that day.
We were planning for a lot, right? And luckily, we had a lot of cloud cover. Nothing really happened. But going into after action reviews from like North Central U.S. when that one came through in 2017, I think it was, if I remember right, there was a huge public health aspect of it because you had a lot of people coming in. About a week later, the STD rate and the local populace skyrocketed. You had human waste all over the place.
That's a fun fact right there.
Yeah. People were renting out their pastures and, the RVs and all that, and people were just dumping their human waste in people's pastures. That was running off into creeks. So there's a
that's a literal trickle effect.
Yeah. So
pun intended. You don't realize how one incident is going to affect others around. So that's kind of my moral message for
I wonder how many
the Aesop fable for today.
I wonder how many of them thought that they were doing a good service
by
just
doing
fertilizing
that.
fertilizing the crops.
But yeah, they're most incidents, most disasters, especially large scale. There's definitely a public health and medical aspect to it. So, and everybody always remembers medical, right? Because you got your ambulances and your hospitals and all that. But a lot of people forget about the public health, and it's
until after.
Yeah.
The event is over, after the incident is over, and then
it's just
what needs to be
important.
fixed or what needs to be addressed, and then that's where public health.
Yeah, and we do a lot of work to help make sure that we sustain a response during the event. So are our first responders getting enough rest? Are they getting the right kind of food? Are we being smart about that? Are they eating down at the local truck doing barbecue service without washing their hands, or
if they have running water or not?
Or
they have
refrigeration. What is happening, and how are we keeping this response going? And then after that, clearing the boil water notices, making sure water testing is done, but also keeping our epidemiologists online so that we see the within the spike. If we see a spike in food and waterborne illnesses, we know, hey, this is probably event related. And then our next event, we have that background information that goes into our planning, our response the next time. And so using our local, our kind of indigent resources, we're trying to manage through that response in the most wise way we can. And I know the wisest way that they've taught us is mitigate it in the first place. So
upstream,
doing mitigation work where, like this STEAR registry, will allow us to look and see if some hypothetical issue came up, like you have an outsized bariatric issue that you have to deal with. So a lot of people that you are moving around are obese and require specialized equipment. Can we buy that? Can we get that in grants? Can we do that prior to having an emergency? Can we communicate with those folks so that they know what would happen in an emergency? So you've let us know that, I need mobility assistance. Well, it's on us now to work together and make sure that we have a response to that.
I'm going to try to associate that with a metaphor for those that may not be familiar with this overall concept of preparedness. What you just described, Russell, what popped in my head is, though I'm preparing a meal, I know what ingredients I need for this meal, but I may be missing an ingredient or two. So I can't really make the meal the way that I need to, because I need to find, where am I going to get this missing ingredient from? Do I look in the cupboard? Do I look in my pantry? Do I call my neighbor's house? Do I want to go to the store to get it? Do I have the money to get it from the store if I go to the store? Like, how am I going to get all these ingredients that I need to be prepared for this end product?
And make it healthy and useful. I mean, you're going to feed it to somebody who is going to go out and work the next 12 hours, pulling dirt or debris piles apart, looking for people. That person needs to be well fed and prepared. That description very much describes what I've encountered across East Texas. Is I know a lot of people, and I've built a lot of relationships because I don't have a lot of resources. But individually, I know, this person might have a bulldozer. This person might have the media account that I need to blast out information on.
You know who you need to get in touch with.
Yeah.
Who you need to contact.
Because I think
when it's time to get in touch with that person.
Like being in Texas, and having a lot of these situations shake out in this state. Not to belabor the point on the metaphor that you made, Terrence, but like you can make mud pies too. You know what I mean? That aren't any good for anybody.
But that's what Brandon and Russell. That's what they're trying to avoid.
Trying to mitigate. Yeah. Trying to avoid that from happening. You want to serve up a nice 5-course meal that is delicious and it helps everybody.
Even if it becomes a MRE, and is just edible,
sure, but
nutritious. Yeah. Sometimes that's the only option we have at the moment. But getting folks prepared to leave with their own food, or understand that I might need drinking water in the house post electrical outage or what have you. Again, engaging and reaching out to the public is where we get that preparedness culture to start. picking up and understanding, hey, I'm at risk, but I can mitigate that risk.
So you saying the words electrical outages made me think about the second week of February in 2021,
Yep.
which meteorologically, that's a hard word to say, that was Winter Storm Uri, the name of it. More commonly known to us as Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
Or Snowvid, yeah.
Snowvid, because it happened during the pandemic. I bring that up because that's when the STEAR Registry was created, around that time. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what that acronym is, like Thomas Smith mentioned, we have many, many acronyms in public health. I'm going to pitch it to Brandon if you'll describe what that STEAR acronym stands for and what STEAR is, and why, those of you listening, why you should probably sign up for STEAR.
Yeah, so it's a program that Texas Division of Emergency Management runs. It stands for State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry. Sorry, there's another STEAR. Nearly got them crossed. But it's a great database. So like I said, it's a state-run program. However, local jurisdictions have or can get access to it. And I say that because, backing up to the beginning of the conversation about emergency managers, some jurisdictions do not participate in this. I really don't understand why, because it's free. All I have to do is log in, and if you're registered in this program, I can get your address, your name, your phone number, your medical need, and we can prioritize. We can plot you on a map and see if you're in a affected area.
But that's only if that family, if that household, if that residence is registered.
Yes, so it is a
and you have to self opt in.
It is a self enrollment,
but it's free.
It is free, and it's pretty easy, and it doesn't take very long. But it is a self enrollment, and it does purge itself every year. So you have to enroll every year. And
so then on the day that you say, if I sign up today, then a year from now today, that's when you're wiped out, and then you got to re-enroll.
It wipes at the beginning of every year, so it's not annually when you enroll. It's
just January
calendar
1 every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now they the state does reach out to you. They'll send you emails and say, hey, if you're still in the area, please re-enroll. Whatever, if you're still medically dependent, still enroll. And it's to keep people that move out, move away, whatever, is to keep that database accurate as possible. We actually used it a couple of years ago when we had the straight line winds come through during the summer. We pulled that database. We got crisis response ministries into the EOC. We printed it out, and they literally just started going down the line calling people. So, it's really any medically dependent need, especially if that dependency relies on electricity. Because like you said, that's kind of what it stemmed from is severe loss of electricity. Great program. I highly recommend that if you fall in that category, enrolling in it, and if your jurisdiction does not use it, I highly recommend that you call that jurisdiction and tell them that they need to start using it.
So if that county is not,
they can still
actively
register.
So a citizen could register still, even if their county as a whole
right.
is not participating.
I'm not going to name the counties, but during that windstorm or that straight line wind event, there were several counties that were majorly affected and were not participants of this.
No, you can throw shade. Let's go.
We're public health, remember?
But some of the residents had still enrolled, right? So the state was able to download that information and send it to like EMTF, Emergency Medical Task Force. There's another acronym. Send it to EMTF4, and they had activated several people, so they were able to start calling down the list.
So what's from the citizen perspective, what does the response look like if I am registered in STEAR, if my residence is registered compared to somebody who is not registered, and there is another emergency situation, then you're responding to somebody that is signed up in STEAR and somebody that's not signed up in STEAR? So
it kind of depends. So it's based on, so first off, there's no like guarantee that anything is going to happen because it's based off local jurisdictional availability, or
you have no idea what the next storm brings. You know, what particular circumstances is it?
You get to some of these, really rural jurisdictions, and like their biggest asset may be a volunteer fire department. So you might not always have the resources as say Dallas or Houston. But so like Smith County, what we can do is we can start going down that call list, and we can make notes. All right, this person needs this, and then we can assign it to whoever from Net Health is sitting in the EOC. We can assign it to EMS. And just
y'all get it to the right spot.
Yeah. So in our EOC, we have, same as everywhere across the country, we have different activation levels. Once we hit trigger lines, we increase the activation level, and more people start coming in.
As people enroll in the registry, they sort themselves into their needs. So I'm medically electric dependent, or I have mobility problems, or I have sheltering issues because I have neurodivergent children who need accommodation in a shelter. Those things we can look at, and a lot of times maybe the engagement would be, okay, we know that should the evacuation orders happen, we've got to have a particular piece of equipment to handle your mobility issue. So like I was saying about the bariatric equipment. Or it may be, hey, we can't get to you, but we can, drone drop you your medication, whatever that is. But I think the most important thing is that we'll have that ability to engage with the public and bring their education up to this is our capabilities. This was what would happen. Expect this kind of service, during an emergency.
And again, it's free, so it doesn't hurt.
And one of the locations where listeners can enroll into the STEAR program, you can go to the county's website. It's smith-county.com. Go to the emergency management section of the website, and there's a full line list of items. In addition to the STEAR registry, it has a list of the updated response plans, where there's a heat response plan, a severe weather response plan, there's a hazard mitigation plan. Point I'm getting at, this gives you, the local resident, the local citizen, awareness and access to these weeks and months and years of homework that y'all get to go into. It's almost like we're grade school kids, but just grown up now, where this is all essay projects and oral reports. And so kids, whenever they say, whatever you do in school, I'm not ever going to do this when I'm an adult. Oh, yes, you will.
Yeah, my young self would hate my job. So after the first of the year, as long as it's still a go, after the first of the year, we're supposed to be getting a new website for the county. And once that happens, there will be a lot more, especially preparedness information on there. So we do a lot of, there's a volunteer that works for us or not for us, but works with us. And she does a lot of community events, and she hands out all sorts of preparedness checklists, and does a great job. So we're going to try to put that on the website. That way people can print it off themselves. So.
One of the things that's on the website that I would recommend, even if you don't need STEAR Registry, is the communication feature where you can get alerts. Yeah. You can sign up for that, and you'll hear alerts for local thunderstorms. It's not like an Amber Alert that goes off all the time. It's going to be something the county sends out, specific information you probably ought to know.
Well, we don't send it out because it does get taxing sometimes. But it's it's Rave. It's a Motorola product. The Council of Governments is the one that helps us out with it. But all the weather alerts are based off of National Weather Service algorithms. So if they send out an alert, it automatically goes out to anyone enrolled in this product.
Now, I've signed up for the Smart 911 system, the Rave Mobile Safety program, and on their site you can sign up for county alerts, or then you can also sign up for city alerts. So as y'all go on the website, so you can go to smith-county.com. You can also go to ecog.org that Brandon just mentioned. That's the East Texas Council of Governments, to sign up for that Smart 911 alert system, because, like you just mentioned, it's weather sensitive based on, it can get down to your local jurisdiction, your local city level, or if you want it county level wise.
And it works across 14 counties. I live out of Smith County, another county, and we use the same system.
The same system?
And I get that for my county. Since I work in Smith County, I also get Smith County.
So you live in Van Zant County, but you work in Smith County.
So I have two different alerts that I signed up for.
So some days you may get one from Van Zant, but not from Smith, depending on if the weather is affecting Van Zant or not, and vice versa.
All that's to say, you can tailor it to the
and it'll page you.
It'll
send you a telephone call. So
nice. We'll be sure to plug all of those useful resources in the show notes. Easy to find.
And if you forget all this, you can just Google it.
Just Google it. Yeah.
Now, another thing that you could Google, another service that'll be on the county's new website, is another acronym, y'all, is CERT. CERT. There will be a quiz, everybody, at the end of the year over if you can memorize all these acronyms that we get to do. But if y'all can go into what the CERT program is and how interested listeners can sign up for the CERT.
Yep. So it's a community emergency response team. It's actually a FEMA-backed program. So it's 25 hours of training. We can cut that a little bit.
Like consecutive? That's all one day? Like you do 24 hours and then you take a nap after because you didn't sleep?
What we usually do is, so like we have one coming up in Winona this month, 16th and 30th. We had an interest meeting is what we call it. So we promote it a little bit. We say, hey, if this interests you, come talk to us, whatever. And then we have a little Q&A type session. And we just ask them, do you want to do it, a couple of Saturdays and just knock it out? Or do you want to, like the one we did in Lindale for Hideaway, it was 2 hours once a week in the evening. So it took us 10 weeks to complete it, but it was only 2 hours a week. Whereas Winona opted to do 2 full Saturdays. So it really just depends on what they want. We accommodate however we can. But it's very basic stuff. But it's like how to use a fire extinguisher, how to turn off the gas at your house. I can't tell you how many people call 911 and get a fire response to their resident because they smell gas in their house. Well, did you turn the gas off? I don't know how. And it's literally turning a valve. So, we teach them stuff like that, basic medical operations, how to pack a wound, how to put on a tourniquet, disaster psychology, light search and rescue, and then incident command, as you were talking about earlier. So
I was going to ask, you don't have to, a regular resident, regular citizen, you don't have to have any special training, certification.
Absolutely not.
You don't have to be from in the first responder mindset.
You
realm.
can be
you can be an average Joe.
You can be a 90-year-old person. We what we tell everybody is everybody can have a job if you want it. It could be like we were talking earlier, just calling people, making sure they're okay. And I tell people at the beginning of every class, if you go through this program and do not want to be on the team and all you want to do is learn about individual preparedness, I'm okay with that, because that's one less person that we have to worry about in the event of a disaster. So,
yeah, during COVID, we used legions of volunteers just to enter data as we were doing immunization or doing vaccine. We, given the option to enroll them, we would enroll them on site, and you really just cannot take a doctor and assign him to data entry. You're going to lose that person. So yeah, coming in and filling those jobs that you need by the dozens sometime is absolutely perfect for somebody who is not a first responder and just interested in serving their community.
We usually refer to them as force multipliers. So they are able to do not menial tasks, but tasks that
they're necessary tasks.
They're necessary tasks, but a firefighter or a paramedic needs to be focused on something that they are specifically trained to do, not necessarily handing out water or doing intakes or something like that. So these are very important jobs that do not require tons of training. Right?
And we do have locally, we have the Medical Reserve Corps, MRC. So if you're a licensed healthcare
I'm
provider,
do that whenever we say an acronym, I'm gonna make a noise.
Put a quarter in the jar noise. Those folks are doctors, nurses, paramedics, dental, all kinds of healthcare professionals, even mental health folks who participate locally. We have a kind of an extended roster of folks because the local universities bring their folks who are in nursing school now with the new med school. Those people are part of that Medical Reserve Corps, which is quite complementary to the CERT teams.
So y'all mentioned Winona and Lindale. Does every city in Smith County have a CERT? Like what's the structure of it?
It is Smith County CERT, right? So it's a county asset, really. But we, depending on where you live in Smith County, if you live in Lindale and we're holding a class in ARP, that's a pretty good drive. So what we do is we just move around. So we started in Tyler. We've done one in Lindale that was specific for Hideaway. Then we're going to do Winona, then Bullard, then Troop, I believe, and then back to Lindale for Lindale, and then probably down to ARP. So, and then we'll just keep bouncing around.
And it's rotated around.
Yes, sir. We're just trying to make it as convenient as possible for the citizens. I mean, they're the ones volunteering, so we want to make it as convenient as possible.
So I will revive a previous question. Does every county in Texas have the capacity to have a CERT?
Capacity, yes. Ability, no. And what I mean by that is it is time inclusive. I mean, it takes a lot of time. And when you have a EM or really anybody that wears 4 or 5 different hats, you probably don't want one more added to you. So They have the ability. I mean, it's very simple. They just have to sign a form and send it to FEMA saying, hey, we're going to sponsor this program. And then you can do as much as or as little as you want. So like City of Burleson, for example, they have a very, very robust CERT program. So it really just depends on how much you can devote to it.
Now, I remember hearing about CERT when I attended one of the LEPC meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Ding! Another acronym. So, Russell, if you give an overview of the LEPC.
Well, that's the Local Emergency Planning Committee, and basically it's where you can bring your community together to do preparedness planning. Speaking of outstanding places, if you look in Harris County, where you've got all the refineries, they have their own preparedness council. That's, if I remember correctly, is part of their LEPC network. But here, our biggest industry is health and medical. Mm-hmm. So we see those folks. We see Encore and power companies. We see engineering companies, public health, mental health, academia that are coming together. And that's where we can do planning like bringing interns and students together as resources so that we can reach out and engage with the STEAR population. And we can sit down and determine, hey, this is what it looks like if Delic, has an emergency. And
yeah, because remember, they've been to a few meetings. Yeah, Delic and Home Depot and Brookshire's and
a lot of the big industry usually comes to them, but let's use fictional places in the future because I don't want Delic going up. I don't want to put the bad juju on us. No, so LEPC, the history of it stems from hazmat, right? So back in the 70s or 80s, I can't remember, there was a huge disaster in like Asia or something. I don't even remember.
Oh, was that Bhopal, India?
India,
at the Union Carbide.
So
Carbine?
Union Carbide, they let go of some gas and killed thousands of people in India. And there was no plan, no community plan to manage this big plant over there.
Like there was nothing.
There was nothing, yeah.
But so once that happened, the federal government said, hey, we're going to start having LEPCs. And it was mandated but never enforced, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You're going to have it, but we don't care if you actually do it or not. And then in Texas, it became mandated and enforced when West blew up. And now
we bring all this together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in Texas, so like we could have a joint LEPC with other counties. So, especially like out in West Texas where there is nothing, you might have 4 or 5 counties that group together and form like a regional.
Because they kind of need to partner up.
And then, like he said, in Harris County, like Harris County has one, but the city of Houston also has one. So, and there's a few places like that. Like we said earlier, there's 254 counties, but there's like 261, I think, LEPCs. So some people separate from the county. I don't really know why, but they do.
They have their reasons.
Yeah. But yeah, in Texas, they are mandated and enforced.
Wow, that's crazy that you said that. So for y'all listening that don't know, before we had started the episode, we were speaking of my hometown, West Comma, Texas. 76691 is the zip code. No.
What's the area code?
Yeah, the area 254.
254.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've been seeing different clips on social media of football season 2-a-days and summer practices, and that's kind of one of their shout outs. They say from where they're from.
Yeah. It was a fertilizer plant explosion that happened back in April 17th of 2013 in my hometown. There was over 160 people that were injured in the explosion. But I had no idea that the LEPC was mandated after that. That's interesting.
Yep.
And
That's a cool little fun fact. I didn't know that.
When I first came, I worked in EMS prior to public health career, and I came on board, and we were starting to get the LEPC started way back in 2004 with Jimmy Seaton, who was EMC and fire marshal way back then. And it's waned and come on, bloomed, and then waned again. And right now we're really trying to involve a lot of local resources for community engagement.
Wow.
So to back up, it was always encouraged and mandated, but never really enforced until West. But and we do at least once a year we have one that's kind of focused on hazmat. But the way I look at it is, when a disaster happens, there's a lot more to it than just hazmat. So that's why we bring guest speakers from all venues. We invite anybody that wants to come.
And interestingly enough, you said the last one that y'all had Tommy Mushka.
Not the last one, but we have had him, yes.
Yeah.
And we also had Dr. Crawford as well.
Yeah.
So,
Crawford, interesting.
But yeah, we've had Net Health, we've had Alzheimer's Alliance.
That's a good one.
We've had a lot of people.
Sure.
So.
And these are quarterly.
So we have them every 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah. We were doing them every 3 months, but honestly, no one wants to hear me speak every time. And we were kind of having a hard time finding people that could obligate to coming and being a guest speaker. The next one coming up will be in October, and we're trying to get TCEQ.
Okay.
You're not going to do the thing?
Ding!
There you go.
You got to do a hand signal. Yeah, it doesn't just happen. You got to cue it.
No, we're going to try to get Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to come talk about their STEAR program, and that is the Tier 2 program. It's chemicals, essentially. So
I didn't know there was more than one STEAR.
yeah.
Oh, there's a version of STEAR. The registry STEAR is also two versions where you have a public and then you have a healthcare provider. So you can have group homes, nursing homes, assisted livings. They can sign up their clients, and that's managed. That's managed a different way.
Same page, but a different way. You just click which one you are.
Yeah, you register at the same place, but if you're registering for clients, you would go under the healthcare STEAR.
And then going back to the citizen involvement question, so can an average person attend the LEPC meetings?
Absolutely.
It's not just first responder only, not just health department, hospital.
It is a so
higher education.
All elected officials are invited. So because of that, per Texas law, it has to be an open meeting. So yeah, anybody can.
It's good to know. The LEPC and the CERT and the STEAR and several other acronyms are on the county's webpage, smith-county.com. Like Thomas had mentioned, we'll have all this info within the show notes for this episode. In addition, you can go to mynethealth.org to get more information about Russell Hopkins himself and about our emergency preparedness department that we have within Net Health. One of my takeaway topics from this episode, Brandon, so we are blessed, those of us that live in Smith County and work in Smith County, we're blessed to have all the resources, all the access that we have. There are certain things that you do, Brandon, that we hope we never see you.
I'm all right with that.
There's some emergency that we don't want to happen, or we don't want you to be present, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
But it's comforting to know if we have these future events, I'm not going to use the W word, just if they happen. Y'all, we have a lot of things that other Texans don't have available to them.
I agree. We, like you said, Smith County is very fortunate. So, one, we have a lot of industry leaders that are willing to donate and help provide in times of need. We have 2 amazing emergency service districts. That's somebody y'all ought to get actually on here is the ESD chiefs. Oh yeah.
So I was waiting for that one. You said the words before the acronym. So.
But we have amazing city fire departments, hospitals. Obviously, I mean we do have a lot of resources here. One thing we found during the disaster last year is a lack of coordinated volunteers. Right, so we had a lot of people volunteering. It wasn't really coordinated. We were able to bring in Team Rubicon and the Alert Academy out of Big Sandy. They did a great job, but legally, unless it is immediate life and health, or life and safety, excuse me, the county cannot go on private property. So we had a lot of people that a lot of them fell in that vulnerable populations category that needed tree work done on their homes or done on their property after those events, and we were fortunate enough to be able to get Team Rubicon and Texans on Mission. Is that what their new name is?
I think so. Yeah.
Used to be Texas Baptist Men, and then the Alert Academy to help with private debris cleanup. So
even if you wanted to help, you couldn't.
Not unless there was a life and safety issue, just because it's private property.
Which makes sense. I imagine.
That whole debris management issue, it almost requires the EMC to have that doctoral degree to manage. It's like health and medical. It always seems to be one of the things that you have to deal with.
It's ever evolving.
Yeah. And don't ever put anything in don't put trash in the dumpster if it was given to you.
What was that old game show where it was the rules are made up and the points don't matter? That's kind of how
the Drew Carey the improv show. I can't think of the title of it.
Whose line was it anyway?
Yeah, whose line? Yeah, whose line is it anyway? Yeah.
That was a joke about TDM and FEMA is didn't follow their own rules. Like, it's written in the book, and like, oh, we changed it. Well, thanks. So
300 points.
Yeah.
Here's your definition of green debris.
But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. We were hoping this year, it's not going to happen this year, but we were hoping this year, hopefully it'll happen next year, that we could add some more people in the emergency management program. One of them was specifically for essentially volunteer coordination. So hopefully it'll happen next year. Money's tight. So,
but it's also financially, you've got to get out there and do that. During that time, we were asked to volunteer in Van Zandt County with their debris management, and we went around and calculated how much debris was in the bar ditches and on the road and everything, and then that was used by the county to claim there's this many cubic feet. It costs this much to dispose of it, and that's how counties don't end up footing the bill for the whole thing.
Cubic feet. Okay, that sounds like algebra or calculus, more of that high school math. I didn't think I would have to use anymore.
That's why you use an Excel sheet. Put that formula in there. So not only, he's talking about the public assistance side, but if you're in another even this jurisdiction, but wherever you are, if you are going to volunteer during a disaster, make sure you're checking in with someone, because that actually helps the local government on their cost share. So currently FEMA does a 75% cost share. So say we spent $1 million that was all achievable, we are able to get $750,000 of that back. Now, if we start tracking volunteer hours and stuff like that, that helps us with that additional 25%. So regardless of where you are, make sure you're checking in with someone. That way we can track that information.
We do that even with our tabletop and full-scale exercises. If we have a doctor comes in for 8 hours, we can claim 8 hours worth of work at that cost. And so grants and things like that, you can offset or meet your match. But during public assistance, that same doctor with that same fee goes towards that contribution. So you're only out the labor, the volunteer.
That person.
Yeah.
So in the big picture, would this be a fair statement to say? So in the big picture, you want people to help in an emergency situation, but you want those people to contact the county or contact their EMC, contact law enforcement before they start to help.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate for two reasons. One, the one we just spoke of, but two, that way we can coordinate, because we don't want somebody going out there that's never handled a chainsaw and like, oh, I'm just going to go to Tractor Supply and buy one, and then they cut themselves.
They themselves get hurt.
Yeah, and now
trying to save somebody.
They are now,
and now you got two people to try
a
to
victim that we have to pull resources away from something else to go help. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm sure a lot of people on here are going to tell me I'm crazy and just go do what they want to do, and it is what it is.
Does happen.
The more coordination we have, the better the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Our return on investment increases if we're out there working together and not duplicating.
You're not duplicating services
or
collaborating on shared
ROI,
goals, shared vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You didn't hear me.
Wait, what were you saying?
I said our ROI, if you will.
Oh, my bad. Ding.
I wish we did a better job of educating people on the return on investment for mitigation and planning and creating a preparedness culture.
That's one of the purposes of this podcast topic right here, and the sessions that we do, that using Kerr County, for example, because it happened somewhere that's not in East Texas. We never know if we may have a situation like that to happen here in East Texas.
So that's one thing we do with CERT is we have essentially continuing education. So we don't train you and forget about you. We have a virtual meeting every other month, and then an in-person meeting or training or something like that the other month. But we do like damage assessments, CPR, stop the bleed, stuff like that. So, and that, as we grow, it'll get more robust. But it's a good program. So.
Yeah, I guess we're coming up on a little bit past an hour here. I guess before we close it up, first off, appreciate you both gentlemen coming to inform us on all the wisdom and knowledge I've gotten over y'all's career. I'm a new homeowner as of like September of last year. I say we're coming up on a year. So this question is for each one of you. To a layman, in all the knowledge that y'all have gained in emergency preparedness, what is the one thing that you would tell somebody is like top of the list? This is what you need to have, either for your family or your house, whether it's something you need to sign up for or something that you need to just know knowledge-wise. What would be the one thing that you would want to tell somebody in regards to like being prepared for an emergency, whether it be a hurricane, tornado, what have you?
Hardest thing to do during, at least, particularly at a jurisdictional level, hardest thing to do is communicate. Mm-hmm. Have a plan. Know where your resources are. Know how to get a hold of somebody. What happens if the phones go down?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a meeting place? A plan.
Because I don't have phone numbers memorized.
Right.
None of us do.
Nobody's got Rolodexes anymore they keep
Yeah.
up with.
We'll get a.
They
we'll
lost art of memorizing phone numbers.
To sum it up, I would concur with that. Have a plan. Now, that plan needs to be robust, right? So you need to think about all your essentials. Do you have medication that you have to take?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
Financial.
shelf-stable food? Do you have water that's not going to start going bad soon? Do you have an escape plan? Do you have phone numbers?
Do you have a shelter in place plan? Do you have, that ability to communicate, I think, is essential, particularly if you qualify to go on the STEAR registry. Being able to communicate, hey, I need to know what y'all are doing and what plan for me is. That really is my one thing, is be able to talk, be able to shoot, move, and scoot. So,
Yeah, I feel like some of these, in the wake of the tragedy of Kerrville, and just like I said, it's every other day you're hearing about, some disaster, some horrible thing, and
a lot
I'm venturing into like new territory. I'm about to be a father, first-time father, come in September. Lord willing, everything goes as planned, and I guess these things are starting to come to the forefront of my mind a little bit. It's one thing protecting yourself; it's another thing being sure that you have a plan in place for the people you care and love about.
So, especially in today's age, you can just Google pretty much whatever you want. But if that doesn't do it, AI can pretty much do it for you. And I'm serious. You can go on. I've done it just to see what it would produce.
Yeah.
You can go into AI and type, "I live here. Here are my hazards. Can you make a preparedness checklist for me?"
Yeah. At the ICS training that I did a few days ago, I did some of the scenarios that we had to go over, and I plugged it in, and it was pretty spot on. Like from what the instructor was saying, kind of once we had actually gotten through the instruction and some of the advice that he gave on how to address some of these things, it got it pretty much on the head. I mean, pretty much like word for word.
Was it Mark Weaver?
Yes.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, Mark's awesome, man. He's super cool.
Shout out to Mark Weaver and Teeks. Teex.
Big fan of Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to email him. I'll send him the link to this episode and have him listen to it. He'd be like, well.
But yeah,
Shout out.
There's a whole, you have texasready.gov, you have ready.gov, which is the federal side of it. CDC has stuff, the Red Cross has stuff, the AKC has stuff. American Kennel Club.
That's what threw me off. Like,
American
you're talking
Kennel
about
Club.
American Kennel Club?
Yep.
Like, why did that come
Well,
in?
because most people,
we got to take care of the pets.
they don't, so that windstorm we were talking about earlier, there was a lady that was on oxygen and ran out of oxygen, but would not leave because she had 2 aggressive dogs and a shelter wouldn't take them. So
Like, what do you do? It's like,
and that she literally told us, "I would rather die than leave my dogs."
Wow.
So
I remember from 2008, the people came up evacuating from Gustav and arrived with fish and turtles
Snakes.
and birds and snakes and dogs and cats, and some of them went in their purse and some of them went in their clothing, and it was
But
interesting.
you got to take care of them to assist them and their loved ones.
We had during that time, it was for both storms, Gustav and Ike. We operated an animal shelter for people who lived out of town because you can't, particularly in a medical shelter, you can't really house their dog and their cat.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those aspects you don't think about until you have to think about it.
And
like what?
yeah, and if
Like, how do we handle all this?
if you're communicating and making that plan, particularly from some sort of template, pets is a big thing. We've learned that over the years. That's part of the planning process and prompts. So you will get that. You'll get the, hey, you better have X number of days of medicine on hand. Better have a few dollars cash available.
I just had Generac over last week, and you wouldn't believe it, man. I'm getting a quote for a standby generator, something we might invest in next year. And a tree branch falls. We got like 70 footers around the house, all around the house. And since we've moved in, we've had a handful of branches fall since we've been in there. But one falls next to his truck while we were inside. He was there for about an hour. We walk outside. He was like, "Was that there when I got here?" I was like, "No, that just fell while you were here."
Oh, jeez.
And I was just telling him about a branch that had fallen like last month where his truck was parked at the time that he was over at our place. And he leaves. Power went out the next night. We had I guess there was a tree limb had fallen, and there was about 40 or 50 people. We called Encore. That was the next night. I was just like, man, maybe the Lord's telling me I do need to pull the trigger on this generator. I was like, good night. But yeah, being prepared, I guess. Yeah, being a new dad, I'm starting to consider these things more, And then, like, again, hearing the tragedy at Kerrville and stuff, there's some things you can't, obviously prepare for.
That is one thing that's kind of upsetting about, they're trying to crucify that EMC down there. And as we've discussed, most jurisdictions are one person, hardly any funding, if any.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Personally, I think they need to be a little more understanding. I mean,
grace, man. We're finding out,
it was a holiday weekend. The dude took his family. Like, prior to him leaving, the weather service was not expecting anything.
Right.
I mean, it's just a terrible situation all around.
But in those communities, it's not like they don't know that they're at risk.
Yeah.
I've done a recovery course down in Kimball County, Junction, the South Llano River. They know that their water comes in a wall, it doesn't rise. They know that they have a particular risk because that river system goes so far back from the town that the town may not have a rainstorm and still get the flood. And so the things that I'm hearing them say to Kerrville, I heard in 2018 when I was in Kimball County speaking to them, and they had just had in 2017 a flood where, the pecan trees in the state park had car parts in the top of them. It's just amazing that water moves like that. We don't have similar risk, but they knew it was coming, and the federal dollars, mitigation dollars, is almost like a lottery in that the river system over in where Comfort, Texas is, they actually won the lottery, was able to install the monitors, the warning system, and everything. So that was based on a flood they had. Where
they built a lot of relief routes too, didn't they?
Yeah. For evacuations and everything, because Sabinal River is just like the Guadalupe. It goes up into a wall and comes down the river at god-awful speeds.
But they learned from previous experience, and previous situations of how to plan.
And I almost feel like it's by chance they got funded for that. And it wasn't so much of, hey, we identified the problems. Hey, there's only so much funding to go around.
Yeah, we got to get it while we can.
Yeah, and you hit the lottery here, so your valley gets flood monitoring and notification.
And that's one bad thing about emergency management throughout the country, really, is many times it does not get funded until post-disaster, bad disaster. So it is what it is. I mean, as the occupation grows, I hope it'll change, but
they have systemic problems like the flood maps change every 5 years. And during that 5 years, you've got people moving in, building roofs, shedding water into the actual watershed that doesn't get soaked up. It changes so fast. Risk is something that evolves over time, and if you aren't paying attention to it, you get to that point where there's the event with 130 dead.
It's like,
now we have
it's like geographic gentrification.
it. Can be. Yeah.
So that's what it seems like.
I've never heard
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
And we've been
Well, with people moving in, and
Yeah.
you know
with the people
the landscape literally changes.
Yeah,
As you have people moving in and people moving out, and it's like you don't know who's going to be where when
Yeah.
until a situation like that happens.
we have to be more adaptive.
You have people that hadn't lived there a year, 2 years, and they're just caught by surprise. Like
We're so
I
proud of
didn't know all
bringing
this was gonna
people
happen
from.
until it happens.
We're so proud about bringing people from other states and the state of Texas and the success we've had. We've got to do better about keeping up with the threat and the risk that comes with that, because if you bring more people in, they got to live somewhere, right?
It goes back, like you said, communication.
Yeah.
And Texas can be a little bumpy.
I think it's like just the notion of, again, going upstream, being proactive. You know, it's like a pretty reoccurring theme that we see in public health across every department is this lack of proactivity. You know, it's like someone who gets diabetes because they weren't, watching their diet and everything. I mean, it just comes back to I think that core tenet of like the human condition, man. It's like waging war against that kind of lackadaisical.
It's always a balance.
It's just, proactive.
I'll take care of it later.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
I'll pay attention to it
we'll
later.
We'll cross that bridge.
When I have time.
Everybody likes that term. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's like, well.
Unless it's washed out.
Yeah. That's a really good acronym for the day, I think.
But to everybody that's listening, I want to personally give a thank you to Brandon and to Russell for your info and knowledge for today. Like I mentioned before, those of you listening, if you have questions that you would like to be answered by Russell and or by Brandon, you can send an email to castingthenet@netphd.org. There'll be a surprise prize for anybody that can email and tell us how many different acronyms we used in today's session. I lost count, but you got to listen to count up. And hope y'all stay tuned for the next few episodes that we have of Casting the Net. Like Thomas mentioned earlier, we'll have the plethora of acronyms and links in the show notes that you can learn more of how you can get connected with the LEPC, with the CERT, to register for the STEAR. And did I miss any acronyms, guys? I know we talked about the ROI and
The EOC,
the EOC.
PHEP.
That'll get them going.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Well, we appreciate it, gentlemen.
You don't
And-
learn a language in one day. You have to
It takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate y'all coming on and giving us y'all's time. And everybody listening, y'all keep y'all's head on a swivel out there and stay prepared. And again, I guess we'll catch you on the next one.